I want to thank Ms. Scanlon for her very cogent and impressive remarks. We need to refocus on why we're here. We're losing tens of thousands of people in our communities to gun violence. That's importantly what a lot of the election was about in 2018. That's why we're here. That's why all of these wonderful people have come to Washington, to the hearing, and now to the markup. I'm amazed that my colleagues across the aisle seem to turn a deaf ear to the demand in the public for this legislation. More than 90% of the American people want it. They understand it's something we need to do. The whole purpose of the legislation is to close the loopholes. We've caught more than 3 million people who should not be buying guns because they're felons, they're fugitives, they are mentally ill in the eyes of the law, they are undocumented aliens, they have a dishonorable discharge from the military. There are a whole series of reasons why, and they're squeezing through the loopholes, which include the private gun show loophole and the private sales loophole. And rather than join us in trying to close the loopholes, they keep offering more loopholes. We say, let's close the loopholes. They say, let's throw some more loopholes in. It's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen. So the only argument I've heard from them, it's quite amazing, Mr. Chairman, and I counted it, I think, 7 times so far. I want to try to get the quote exactly right, but my friends across the aisle keep saying, criminals don't obey the law, criminals don't fill out forms, criminals don't follow the law. So the talking points have issued out. The talking points are there. Everybody say criminals don't follow the law, but think about what your talking point is. The first point that needs to be made is we're not just talking about criminals who are swept up in the Brady law, okay? Our background check bill extends the current legislation, which applies not just to felons, but fugitives, to drug addicts, to people who are mentally unstable and should not be in possession of a gun, to unlawful aliens, you think you guys would support that, to people who've been dishonorably discharged from the military, to people who have a civil protection order in a domestic violence case, but don't necessarily have a criminal conviction. But they say it's just about criminals. It's not just about criminals. There's 7 or 8 different categories we're sweeping up. In any event, the argument about criminals makes no sense to me. They say, well, criminals aren't going to follow the law, therefore we shouldn't have the law. Great, why don't you repeal the law against murder? Because murderers aren't going to follow the law, they're going to murder anyway. But we have a law against murder in order to create a social norm, in order to deter people from the bad action. And we know that more than 3 million people have been stopped from getting firearms under the law, even with the loopholes that exist. So we say, let's close those loopholes, let's make it more effective. Then you use this as an opportunity to say, no, let's throw in some more loopholes. There was even one good idea in there, at least it sounded good, about creating a mass violence Department of Justice Center. How come we didn't hear anything about that for the last 2 years? They brought us 2 bills over the last 2 years when they controlled this committee. One was they wanted to legalize silencers in America, which sounds like a mafia agenda to me. And the other is to wipe out 50 states' concealed carry weapons. So if you can get the license to carry a concealed loaded weapon in one state, and some states' laws are so lax that more than 1 million people have such a weapon, have such a license and such a weapon, they want to say if you can get it in one state, then you can go anywhere. That's what they're offering to us. But in a political sense, if they want to go down that road, the American people have already spoken, which is why we have Mary Gay Scanlon and Joe Neguse and all these wonderful new colleagues here on the committee who are speaking for America and speaking for their communities. Thank you for yielding. I yield back to you.